Ever feel like your to-do list is out to get you?
Out to get you, yeah.
Like it's trying to trigger an existential crisis?
Yeah,
You, my friend, are not alone.
definitely not.
Today's deep dive is all about tackling task overwhelm,
Okay.
especially if you've got that ADHD brain
Right.
that sometimes feels like it's wired for, well, anything but tasks.
Yeah.
We're diving into some seriously insightful strategies from the CareClinic team.
Okay.
Their work on effective ADHD task chunking strategies.
Right. Truth.
Now, I know chunking might sound a bit like we're prepping for a lumberjack competition, but trust me, this is about to change how you view those massive, soul-crushing tasks.
Okay.
Think of it this way. Imagine a master chef faced with a seriously complex recipe.
And they just chucked all the ingredients in a pot at once.
Exactly.
You'd probably be a little hesitant to try that dish.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is this chef analogy actually reflects what happens in our brains, especially with ADHD.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Break it down for us.
ADHD can significantly impact executive functions, which are like the brain's management team,
Okay.
responsible for things like planning, starting tasks, and staying focused.
So executive function is like the head chef in our brain. And when it's not working smoothly,
Things get a little messy.
things get interesting.
Precisely.
Okay.
And when faced with a massive task, it's like asking your head chef to cook a 5-course meal
Oh, no.
for 50 people with no warning.
Oh, my God.
Overwhelming, right?
My brain just had a mini meltdown imagining that. Okay, that makes so much sense. Suddenly, it's not just me being lazy or procrastinating. It's like my brain's literally hitting the overwhelm button.
Exactly. And that's where chunking comes in.
Okay.
Instead of that 5-course meal for 50, you're breaking it down into manageable steps.
No way.
Chop the veggies, prep the sauce, set the table.
Right.
Suddenly, it feels doable.
So instead of staring down this monstrous task, feeling that wave of I can't even, we're creating a roadmap.
Yes, exactly.
Like turn that mountain into a series of totally conquerable hills.
You've got it. And the CareClinic team highlights how this isn't just about getting things done.
Okay.
It's about how it makes us feel. They talk about those little bursts of dopamine, that feel-good neurotransmitters that come with completing each chunk.
Yeah. Which is huge EEE, especially for those of us with ADHD brains that are often starving for that sense of accomplishment.
Think about it. Every time you check off a chunk, it's like your brain gives you a high five.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did that. What's next?
Love it.
It's positive reinforcement in action, building momentum and motivation.
It's like our brains are saying, see, we told you this whole adulting thing was possible.
Exactly.
All right, I'm sold on the why. But let's get practical. How do we actually turn this chunking magic into, well, real life results?
All right. So we're ready to swap our overwhelm for some of those dopamine high fives.
Right.
But where do we even start? It's not like we can just yell chunk at our to-do list and hope for the best.
I appreciate the enthusiasm, but you're right. There's a bit more to it than that. The CareClinic team lays out some really practical steps to make chunking work for you. Okay.
The first thing they emphasize is choosing the right tasks to chunk.
Okay, so not everything needs to be broken down into micro steps. I'm guessing making my morning coffee doesn't require a 5-step plan.
Probably not, unless you're experimenting with some seriously elaborate latte art.
Right.
Focus on those tasks that tend to trigger that deer in the headlights feeling. Yeah. The ones that are long, complex, or just mentally draining.
So think, writing a big report for work,
Yeah.
planning a family vacation,
Yes.
or maybe even finally tackling that black hole we call the garage.
Exactly. Those are prime candidates for chunking. Once you've identified your targets, it's about setting realistic goals for each chunk. Remember, this isn't about cramming more into your day. It's about making progress feel manageable and, dare I say, enjoyable.
And this is where those dopamine hits come in. It's like our brain's reward system for not giving in to the urge to binge watch cat videos instead of facing that to-do list. Speaking of which, the CareClinic folks are big fans of timers and alarms, right? I'll admit, I used to resist those like it was my job.
They can feel a little like school, but trust me, there's a method to the madness.
Okay.
Setting a timer, even for just 25 minutes of focused work on a single chunk, can be shockingly effective.
Wow.
It's about creating those boundaries for your attention, which, let's face it, can be a bit of a wandering nomad sometimes.
Oh, tell me about it. My attention span sometimes feels like a goldfish in a windstorm, but I've actually started using the Pomodoro technique.
Yeah.
You know, those focused bursts with short breaks, and it's amazing how much more I get done when I'm not trying to juggle 17 tasks at once.
It's like You're giving your brain permission to focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah.
Revolutionary, right?
Truly. Okay, so we've got our chunks, we've got our timers. What else can we do to set ourselves up for success?
Well, the CareClinic article also highlights the power of visual cues.
Okay.
This is where things get really interesting for those of us who thrive on seeing things laid out really clearly.
Right.
Think sticky notes, color coding, maybe even a good old-fashioned whiteboard.
Ooh, visual aids. I'm so here for this. It's like creating a roadmap for my brain, except instead of street names, it's all of those satisfyingly chunked out tasks.
Precisely. It taps into a different part of your brain,
Right.
making it easier to stay on track and resist those distractions. And for the tech-savvy folks out there, they specifically recommend apps like CareClinic.
It's like having a personal chunking assistant right in your pocket. Now, one thing that really stood out to me in this article is they don't shy away from the fact that even with the best intentions, we might hit some snags along the way.
Of course,
They actually talk about potential challenges, which I kind of love.
honesty is always refreshing, isn't it?
It is.
It's like they're saying, we get it, life happens, even with perfectly chunked to-do lists.
Exactly. So let's talk about those potential stumbling blocks. What are some common ones people might encounter when they first start chunking?
Well, prioritization can be a big one.
Okay.
You've chunked everything down beautifully, but then you freeze, staring at this list of perfectly manageable tasks. And suddenly, decision paralysis.
It's the too many choices paradox. Even when the choices are good, you've traded overwhelm for the inability to choose where to start. Oh, I've been there. It's like my brain just short circuits from all the perfectly chunked possibilities. So, how do we break free from that prioritization prison?
The CareClinic team has a great tip for that.
Okay.
They suggest starting with the most important chunk, even if it's not the sexiest or most appealing.
Right.
Get that one win under your belt, and suddenly that momentum kicks in.
It's like telling your brain, see, we can do hard things. Now, where's that dopamine hit? Okay, so we're prioritizing, we're riding that dopamine wave. But what about those moments when even the perfectly chunked task just feels impossible? Like procrastination whispers sweet nothings in your ear, and suddenly you're reorganizing your sock drawer instead of tackling that report.
It happens to the best of us.
Right.
And the CareClinic article actually addresses that directly. They're big proponents of using those timers and visual reminders strategically.
Okay.
It's like having a little accountability buddy built right into your schedule.
So instead of just telling myself I should really work on that now, it's setting that timer for 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And having those chunked out steps staring me in the face, reminding you it's totally doable.
You got it. And don't underestimate the power of removing distractions. Put your phone on airplane mode, silence those notifications, maybe even try working in a different environment. Sometimes a change of scenery can do wonders for motivation.
Out of sight, out of mind, right? Although sometimes I swear my phone has Jedi mind tricks to lure me back in.
Well, for those moments, they even suggest incorporating mindfulness techniques. A few minutes of deep breathing or meditation can help recenter your focus and quiet that inner chatter.
Which, let's be honest, is a superpower we could all use a little more of these days. Okay, so we've covered the why of chunking, the how to make it work, and even how to troubleshoot those inevitable bumps in the road. But how do we know if this whole chunking thing is actually making a difference? It's not like there's you're officially a chunking master certificate, right?
I'm working on designing one as we speak.
Right.
But in all seriousness, the CareClinic article offers some really practical ways to measure your progress.
Yeah, okay.
First and foremost, are you actually getting things done?
Right. It's not about perfectly following a system, it's about results. But beyond just checking things off the list, what else should we be paying attention to?
Pay attention to how long each chunk actually takes you. Are you consistently underestimating or overestimating?
Right.
This can help you fine-tune your chunking skills and set more realistic timeframes moving forward.
It's like getting to know your own internal clock a bit better. And I love that they also talk about tuning into your feelings. Are you feeling less stressed, more accomplished, more in control of your to-do list?
Absolutely. Data is valuable, but so are your subjective experiences. If chunking is working, you should feel a difference in your overall well-being.
So it's not just about conquering the external world of tasks, it's about how it impacts our internal world too.
Exactly.
Less overwhelm, more calm, more mental space for, well, life.
Exactly. It's about reclaiming that mental energy that gets hijacked by overwhelm and redirecting it towards the things that truly matter to us.
Which brings me to a final thought I want to leave you with. This whole deep dive has been about getting things done. But what really resonated with me from the CareClinic article is that mastering our tasks is just the beginning.
It's like they're saying, don't just manage your tasks, manage your life.
Yes. What if, by mastering our to-do lists, we unlock this incredible ripple effect? More focus, less stress, more time for creativity, relationships, all those things that make life rich and meaningful. So yeah, go forth and chunk those tasks, but don't forget to chunk out some space for the good stuff too.